Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Housing. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, today we're going to talk about the housing shortage. Now, we're not talking about the lack of homes on the market.
Okay.
When we say housing shortage, what are we talking about?
The number of homes being built versus the number of people who are looking to purchase and versus household formations.
Okay, so all of the houses. So the 140 million houses and how many people we have in the country and how many people are, forming households, immigrating, yada, yada. That's the housing. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the number of homes on the market.
Right.
And we're going to go into the detail in this because this is not improving. This is not a thing that's getting better for people trying to get houses.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So this comes from an Axios article. There's a bunch of data in this. And so let's start with the first quote, and then we have a really cool chart that kind of sum everything up. Okay, what they're saying, we're not going to overcome this deficit anytime soon, just building single-family housing, Hines Managing Director Ryan McCullough tells Axios. Why is that?
Because we're not building them fast enough. We're not building them fast enough because builders are not building them due to their profit margins, meaning that they're building enough to maximize their profit margin with the minimum amount of effort. They're also not building enough because of the cost of building, land, regulatory constraints, labor constraints, supply constraints, all kinds of different constraints. But the bottom line is, I'm sure that they would find a way around the constraints if it was more profitable for them to build. They have found the magic formula of the number of homes that they need to build in order to maximize profits.
That's literally perfect. Okay.
A+ for me.
With that, now we're going to show this chart. Now this chart goes back to 1980. Mm-hmm. Now what this shows is...
Wait. Okay, if you're watching, which you are because clearly we're talking with you, and you remember 1980, say, give us a woo.
Yeah, woo! You have to remember 1980.
Okay. I remember 1980.
Were you even born then?
Barely.
I don't think so. Okay. Now, what you see on this chart is housing relative to population. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that line is 0, is sort of a benchmark. Mm-hmm. It's where it should be. Okay. Now, we historically have oscillated because of boom bust and recessions and cost of money, right? Inflation and things like that. Okay. What the significant thing that caused this actually was that first up. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean the first one, 1990. I mean the next one after that. That was the housing boom. Mm-hmm. We had a housing boom because builders were building like crazy. People were buying like crazy. There was this incredible amount of demand for housing. Why was there so much demand for housing even though we didn't have like the country wasn't growing at 10 million people a year, but we were building houses like crazy.
Right. So because there were a lot of people who figured out that they could flip these homes and they could get a loan with, if they could fog up a mirror, it was helpful, but not necessary, right? So the loans were really easy to come by. And not only that, but they could actually buy a house and put money in their pocket at closings. You're thinking, what? So what they were doing is they were buying houses with these 100% plus loans. So the 100% paid for the house and the plus is what they put in their pocket. So people were kind of churning homes that way, and it was a pyramid scheme. And at some point, as generally happens with pyramid schemes, it fell apart, and that's how we got to the great housing reset back in 2008.
Yeah. So effectively, what happened was it was the foreclosures that flooded back into the market that made it tough for anybody to sell. Because imagine that you're a bank and you're an asset manager and you're told sell 30 houses in your portfolio this month and we'll give you $1,000 bonus. Mm-hmm. So you go out, you call all your agents and go, I need to sell 30 houses. How do I get this house in 123 Elm Street sold? And you show the comps and you go, well, the homes are all worth $300 to $350, but if we list at $290, we'll sell it probably pretty fast. Mm-hmm. So the asset manager goes, sell it at $290. Mm-hmm. So you sell it, and then you've now set the value for the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And then everybody else drops their prices. And then this other asset manager has got to sell their 30, mm-hmm. and they say, what do we got to do? Well, you got to sell for $280. So the next month, the house sells for $280. Mm-hmm. And it started this thing. Well, the builders, as you can see on this chart, they got wrecked. So what they said, financially wrecked. So what they said is, let's go back and not ever do this again, and let's build very conservatively. Let's just build to where we know we can make a profit. And even if we think we can make more money, let's not do it. Let's just build to make this nice profit every year. So we are in a massive deficit. That 3.2 million number, which is the current number of homes in deficit, remember that number if we build 600,000 homes in a year, that number actually going to get worse because we need to build like close to 1 million a year to get back to basically to break even with the number of household formations.
Right. So, a while back we were discussing that, with interest rates between 7 and 8%, it made it harder for builders to be able to borrow and make money. And so that was part of the reason why they weren't building as much. Interest rates are going down. And at the same time, they will build more than they did this year, but not a whole lot more. Because again, they're still kind of smarting from what happened to them around 2008. And they've just figured out, you know what, we're just going to build, like Todd said, more conservatively. But even more importantly, they've gotten used to these record profits and they want to do what it takes to maintain these record profits. Now, these record profits are based on limited supply. So long as they maintain a limited supply, there's a lot of demand for their product and they're going to be able to maximize their profit. Not only that, but if there's a downturn, they have limited exposure, right? Because remember, they're only building homes basically as fast as they're selling them or less so. A lot of builders have waiting lists. A lot of builders have some sort of modified lottery or interest lists or whatever they've got going on. So they have more demand than they have supply. So long as there's this demand, they're feeling pretty comfortable. And like I said, even if the demand diminishes, they're still building less than what's needed, so they'll still be fine.
Okay, here is a zoom out. Greater New York and Los Angeles have the biggest housing deficits among the 55 major markets that were analyzed, okay? It says nearly all of which came up short, which means they have less homes than they have people for them, right? This is why home prices have not dropped, and this is why home prices didn't crash when interest rates went up. Because it doesn't matter what interest rates do, it's supply and demand. Price is literally where supply and demand intersect. These other things don't mean anything, okay? The Cowboys win the Super Bowl, that doesn't change home prices in Dallas. It's like people flood into Dallas because they want to live where none of that stuff means anything. Supply, demand, price, that's literally it, okay?
Except for the Swifties.
Except for the what?
The Swifties.
Swifties. Oh, Taylor Swift, that's bullshit. BS, we're not going to talk about that. That's fake. Okay. We're not talking about the Swifties, and it's some stupid metric about Taylor Swift, and if she holds a concert, home prices go up or something stupid. Okay. Now, there were 3 markets of the 55 biggest ones that actually had the opposite. They had some more houses than they had people, but it wasn't substantial. We want you to guess in the comments which 3 there were, which 3 were the ones. Remember, of the 55, 52 of them didn't have enough houses. And you can bet these home builders aren't going to flood the market with homes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's enough time to guess 3 markets.
That was fast.
Right?
That was fast.
Naturally, Juana, what would you think? Like off the top of your head, what markets would you say maybe there was too much overbuilding or a lot of people left maybe or whatever?
Okay. So I would pick places like Austin, because Austin's kind of had this roller coaster thing going on.
Okay.
I would maybe pick Nashville, because Nashville kind of had this kind of, not as much of a roller coaster, but I think Nashville's kind of been kind of bumpy too.
Boomtown. Nashville and Austin were boomtown in 2009, the late teens and 2020, 2021.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
Give me something else. I don't know.
I would have guessed Boise. The Boise area.
Okay. I would have.
Wasn't Boise.
It wasn't. Okay.
It absolutely is not Las Vegas.
No, I knew that.
In Vegas, if you're trying to buy a new house, they'll say, "Oh, great. Well, we have 2 available. One you can take in March and one you can take in April." And you're like, "What do you mean? I need to buy now."
Okay, so there are a lot of builders in Vegas that have interest lists, and there are some that have waiting lists.
Yeah.
So they're not even you can't even walk in there with your suitcase full of money going, I want to buy a house. That's not even happening.
Right. Miami, of course, they can't build fast enough.
Well, in Miami,
The people that have gone to Miami,
right, and Miami has other constraints, right? They've got geographic constraints.
do you think we should move the show to Miami and film from like a penthouse apartment with like the city and ocean behind us instead of doing this from Vegas? Okay. Tell us in the comments if you think. A lot of people are going to hate that. No, I need Vegas, because they're like half the people watch us are real estate agents in Vegas who then watch our thing and then they go talk to their clients and tell them all the stuff we
Yeah,
told
but
them.
I like the beach in Miami Beach.
We went to an event last night. It was all real estate agents, and it's amazing how many people came in and literally told us they watch every episode and then they go tell their clients stuff. Wasn't that funny? That they were saying, I love your show. That's where you get all my market information, from your show. It's like, don't you just read the stats? No, I just watched the show. Okay.
Okay, so I went to an event with real estate agents and brokers from all over Vegas, and I had people come up to me and actually want to take selfies with me. And
You sent me one.
And I thought that was the cutest
She
thing
was
ever.
starstruck. Oh, I can't believe I'm meeting you. Okay.
That was the cutest thing ever.
Here we go. These are the three markets where there are slight surpluses. New Orleans, which surprises me.
So, well, New Orleans is one of those funny ducks.
It's a weird one but you would think that it would be a lot of people would have moved there.
Well, New Orleans has just so many
Yeah, they
things
have
going
issues.
on. Yeah.
Austin and Nashville.
Okay.
And Austin, remember, a bunch of people moved there. The home builders came in like crazy to build because it's very easy in Texas to build.
Right.
It's incredibly easy. And there's not a lot of government regulations. Just they can go out. There's a lot of flat land.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to move infrastructure around. And a lot of people got there and said, "Oh yeah," and then they went to Miami or they went back to California. Nashville, of course. Nashville's boomtown. It's got a tech. It's got a bunch of stuff there. It's kind of
It's got medical.
What's interesting is that it's got medical. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next one. What we're watching. There's a wave. This is demographic. There's a wave of younger millennials and Gen Zers in the home buying pipeline. And remember, before you guys get in but Todd, the boomers, they're gonna all die by June. Okay. And those homes will flood the market.
No, they
Guys,
won't.
Millennials and Gen Z are both larger cohorts
Right. They're individually larger cohorts than the boomers.
I think people think the boomers are this massive amount because the word boom, baby boom. It was just a post-World War II bunch of people being born. But remember, their kids, there was even more of them. So millennials and Gen Zs, and even Gen X, there's more Gen Xers than we're Gen Xers. There's more of us than boomers. And remember, the median life expectancy of a boomer is 20 more years. So your median boomer is going to live 20 years. That means half will die in the next 20 years, half will die 20 years later in the next 40 years. So basically in 40 years, all the boomers will pretty much have passed away. So this thought that the boomers will die and those houses will flood the market, it's 40 years for that to happen. It's not, they're not just going to flood the market. I saw some fake statistic that by 2028, half the boomers would die. Guys, the youngest boomers are 59. They're not, half of them are not going to die by 2028. Absolutely fake. Matter of fact, the greatest generation, or the silent generation, whatever, the people in front of the boomers are still like 7% of the population. These are people over basically 80 that are still around. So they're not even going to be all dead by 2028. So the fact that half the boomers, that's a fake thing. This is a real thing, this pent-up demand that these people are coming in. And here's the other thing. These people make more money than we did at the same age.
Absolutely. Not by a little bit, by a lot. Not only that, but remember, these are still a generation that, and we've talked about this before, that they're living at home longer, so they're able to save more money. They're coming into their home buying season with more money than we did at their age. They are buying later, but they're buying later with more money down, and they've got greater incomes than we did, even when adjusted for inflation.
I know software engineers and I know airline pilots that are between the ages of 25 and 35 that make $200,000-300,000 a year. And you're saying, no, there's no way a software engineer. Absolutely. In the Bay Area, they make that. But airline pilots, there's thousands of them that make, $300,000-400,000 a year that are under the age 35. It's a super high paying occupation. We have a lot of clients that are airline pilots. So these people have a ton of money. They're the people that roll into the housing market at 32 and go, hey, I want to go buy a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house. And you're like, that's your first house? They go, yeah, but how much you make? I made $250 last year. And, my wife works too. And it's like, oh, well, you can afford it then. Right? Okay. Now here's the next thing, the next bullet point from the article. Could they build it? This is home builders. Yes. Will they build it? No. Gardner says, citing steep construction costs, but it's not just construction costs, Wanda. What are the other, you've mentioned some of these things. It's not just costs. There's other things that are stopping them.
Right. So there are limited materials.
Right. They just can't get all the stuff they need.
Right. There's definitely a labor shortage.
Absolutely. This is a skilled thing.
Right.
Building, it's not just like, it is, despite what you think, just because they wear a hard helmet and they like hammer stuff and whatever, these are skilled workers.
Right.
Every part of the process of building a house is a skilled worker. By definition, that is white collar. White collar doesn't mean I work in an office and wear. White collar is specifically mean you have a skilled job, and a blue collar just means any person can do it. So if I just say go to a fast food restaurant, and if I can teach it to you in a couple of days, that's blue collar. But I can't teach you how to do electrical or do a lot of this work. This is highly skilled work that these people do.
Right. And remember, the labor market is such that right now, the average age in the labor market for construction workers is in their 50s. So these people are not at the beginning of their careers or in the middle of their careers. These people are at the end of their careers. Because remember, construction work is very hard on the body. So, it's not like they're going to be able to do construction work when they're 70, right? So somewhere in their 50s, they're going to be retiring, particularly if they're able to retire. If not, they might work longer, but they may not work in construction. They may work in something else because, again, construction work is hard on the body.
There are about 364 million people in the U.S. We're going to get 400 million by about 2050. We are not going to be able to build 30 million homes or more that we would need to build in the next 26 years. It's not going to happen. They're not going to magically start building all these houses.
Right. Another constraint is permitting. That takes time. It takes money. Another constraint is land. Depending on where you are, land may be difficult or next to impossible to acquire for builders.
Okay, so here's a good example. San Diego. If you want to build houses in San Diego, you're going to have to go 20 miles east and create a new thing, or you're going to have to go find some existing areas and then redevelop those areas. So remember what we talked about when we say if home builders built, there are home builders who you'll say, oh, but they built 600,000 homes last year. Well, they needed to build 1 million, and some of the 600,000 they build, they maybe had to destroy 50,000.
Right.
Because they'll go into areas and they'll literally destroy houses, and they'll maybe destroy one house to build two, and they'll say, but they built 2 houses, but they only added one net house.
Right.
Because they took a big lot, cut it in half, and built 2 houses on it, but they got rid of the house that was there to do that.
Right. So we see that all the time, particularly in urban areas where they'll take down entire square block of maybe single family homes, and maybe they'll put up some mid-rises or something like that.
There is absolutely no question that long term, the constraints that the supply of real estate will not keep up with the growing demand. Long term, we're talking about long term, okay? If you're betting against real estate, if you're betting for a crash, if you've been waiting since 2008, 9, 10 because you were convinced home prices would keep falling. If you didn't buy when interest rates were 2% because you were sure they would go to 1 and you didn't want to buy when it was 2 and you could have waited a year and they would have been 1. I think you're making a mistake. I'm not saying it's a good time to buy, you should run out and buy. I'm just giving you data to help you make good decisions.
Right. So look, the right time to buy is an individual choice based on a lot of different factors. And as I always say, figure out what makes sense for your particular situation and then make an informed decision.
Yep.
Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, that was fun. That was really fun. I hope you had fun too. Remember to leave us your real estate related comments. We appreciate them. Remember to like the video, subscribe. If you're watching, subscribe. You know, I know you are dying to see what he's going to wear next. So you have to subscribe.
This is a weird statistic.
Okay.
80% of, no, it's about 75%. 3/4 of the people who watch our videos are not subscribers. They literally, so a quarter of the people who watch are subscribers. Then 3/4 are literally just, let me watch this video, and then they leave and they never click again so they can keep getting our stuff. I thought that was so weird. I would figure it would be like 80% were subscribers. But we have a lot of people who watch the video who have never subscribed. They'll watch it once and jump off.
Okay, so I've had people come up to me tell me that they watch our videos all the time, but they don't subscribe, and I don't understand that.
Oh, YouTube probably maybe keeps serving us up.
So it serves us up because they've watched us before. So I think that's really interesting too.
There should be YouTube should track that, and they should say, hey, you have, this many people have watched your videos more than 10 times or whatever.
Right.
That we could say they're not a subscriber, but they've watched more than 10 times. That's a better metric than subscribe, because I think subscribers is a vanity metric.
It is a vanity metric.
Yeah. So
anyway, hope you had fun. Remember, like the video, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Share the video so other people benefit from our wisdom and Todd's wardrobe. And we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
bye.